Happy Monday to everyone. Am I audible to all of you? You guys have
Yes, good morning. Good
very good one.
morning.
So weekend is over and Monday has come. So let's begin today's session. Yeah. So just put up on your mat, be in any comfortable posture, and then you can gently close the eyes and just start observing breath. Relax, full flow of disconnect from your external mass and please relax completely focus. And just check your posture, back and neck is straight, chin is parallel to the ground. And your body should be completely relaxed. There is no stress in the body. No pain. Body is good. And then come back to the breath. Slowly begin to deepen the breath. Calm the mind. And when you feel ready, you can begin to add the practice of Kumbha. After the inhalation, just retain the breath inside for 2 seconds and then go for slow, long, and deep exhalation. Deep, 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 inhale deeply, Very slowly. Yeah. Let us begin today's session. So last time we finished the pre-class and I gave you homework for your weekend. So I hope you guys were able to observe what you were expecting and take action accordingly. At least you reached till a point where you were able to observe. Yeah. So because that will greatly help you to um, detach from that state. Once you recognize which state you are in, you have already separated, put a separation, put a pause between yourself and your state of mind. So keep continuing this practice throughout the rest of the day. It will help you a lot. Okay. So today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic. Yes. So the topic is Bhagavad Gita. So I've mentioned this so many times, and now finally the class comes where we are going to talk about this brilliant text and how, like, um, reading after reading this book, like you will understand how to navigate through life. Okay, so like um, this is a much more simple. Yes, yes, yes. We're talking starting with a new topic today. Okay, you can't hear me clearly. Great. How is it now? Am I properly audible? Is it better? That's okay if you missed the class on Saturday. It was on a totally different topic. So yeah. Um, am I properly audible now, or is this still better?
Now you're audible.
Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, we are starting with a new topic, and it's a very interesting topic, Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. So let me write down the full name for you. So generally, we know this text by the name of just Gita or Bhagavad Gita, but the full name of the text is Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. Okay? I'm writing it down. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, or the direct English translation for this is um, knowledge sung by Sri Bhagwan. So it was sung, so that is why the term Gita is used. It's also called the Song of Divine. So this is the full name: Srimad, Srimad, Bhagavad, Bhagavad, Gita, Gita, and Upanishad, Upanishad. And this is a pretty famous text. If you want to understand yoga and actually how to manage your life. Actually, this is a text of management of life. If you read this, you will understand how you can manage your life. So you should go ahead and read this, because dealing with situations, dealing with people, like the way in which it has been written, because it is so simple, and it is actually in a conversation style. So this text is in conversation style. And because of this nature of the text, of being in the conversation style, it becomes very easy for a person to relate to their own life. Because I'll tell you the backstory also, but just generally understanding, the student wasn't able to understand what the teacher was trying to say, so he asked over and over again. And then Krishna ji explained in so many different ways why it was necessary for Arjun to take particular um, take particular actions or fulfill his duty when he was standing as a warrior in the battlefield. Okay, so because it is in this style, it becomes easier for the person, because he was trying to find as many loopholes as he could, because he didn't want to fight. So every time Krishna ji told him something like, this is why you have to do it, he counter questioned him. He said that, if this is what you're saying is the truth, then why is this necessary? Like this, he again and again questioned Krishna ji. He wasn't like, that student who sat in the class, didn't have any questions. He constantly questioned him, until his mind was convinced that now he has to, go ahead and fight in the war. So until that time, he, troubled, bugged Krishna ji as much as possible. Yeah, so the entire text is divided in 7 chapters. Oh, sorry, 18 chapters. And there are 700 shlokas. So verses are 700. And the conversation is going on between Sri Krishna and Arjun. Srikrishnan, Sri Krishna and Arjun, Arjuna. So let me give you a little bit detailing about the text first. So this text is a part of Mahabharata. It is a great epic. Okay, and in Mahabharata there are various sections. So they're called parvs, and this is a part of Bhishma Parv. I'm writing it all down in the chat box. Okay, so Mahabharata is a great epic. Mahabharat, Mahabharata, and it was divided in various parts. So the part where the Bhishma Parv, so part was called, Parv in this text, and in the Bhishma Parv, Bhishma. Bhishma Parv is Parva. So when we come to the Bhishma Parv, from the 25th chapter till the 42nd chapter. This portion of the Mahabharata is famously known as Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so from 25 to 42, if you count, 18 chapters are there. So these 18 chapters famously got to be known as Bhagavad Gita. And this text was written around 500 BC. And you will see that it was like compiled properly by Shankaracharya. Okay? Shankaracharya, Shankaracharya. So over here, Krishna ji represents is actually a representation of your higher mind, and Arjun ji is a representation of the lower mind. Okay, how we normally think, I would say, and then you get a higher perspective on things. So that is Krishna ji. That is why this, again, that is one of the other reasons why this text is so relatable. One represents your intellect, one represents your senses. So Arjunji represents the senses. The senses have the tendency to run out, to engage in the physical world, to derive pleasure out of the physical world, and then the intellect knows that all of this is temporary. So Krishna ji represents the intellect, and Arjunji represents the senses. So it's the discord that is generally caused by the external reality that you experience, and then internally maybe you're not in sync with that. So this conflict, this internal conflict, can you can understand the text as in this manner also. So this contradiction, this discord between the senses and the intellect, your intuition, it's saying something, inner voice is saying something, but externally there are so many things which influence us. So this discord that is caused within you, it's represented by this conversation, and you'll see how he navigates. When once you read the text, you will see how Krishna ji navigates through all the questions of Arjun ji, and tells him, this is what you are supposed to do, and this is your duty right now. So let me take you a little bit back, because it's very important to understand how Bhagavad Gita, the point where Bhagavad Gita started, like what happened before that, and how this they reached. They were standing in the middle of the war, and there was a battlefield, and he had to fight. So I've mentioned all of these things, but how did he reach over there? So you need to understand the backstory a little bit for that. After that, I'll give you more details about the text. Okay. So the story of Mahabharata goes on in this manner. So there were two brothers, Pandu and Dhritarashtra. Okay. And both these brothers, they had their own family. So Pandu had 5 children. They were called the Pandavas. And Dhritarashtra had 101 children, out of which 100 were sons, and he had one daughter. Okay. So what happened was that Pandu passed away when the Pandavas were very young. So the Pandavas were raised by Dhritarashtra only. Okay, so both the Pandavas and Dhritarashtra's sons were collectively known as Kauravas. So Kauravas and Pandavas were raised together. Yeah, they lived together, they were raised together, taught together, everything they did together. Okay, so as they grew up, uh, it became very clear that the Pandavas were very intelligent and they, had really good skills also. So overall, the Pandavas were more intellectual. They were more skilled. They were more, even in archery, all of these things, they were much better than the Kauravas. So what happened was, as they grew older, the Kauravas did not like the Pandavas, and hence they decided that even though they had to live in the same kingdom, they will live separately. Okay, so now they were living separately. However, the chief of the Kauravas, his name was Duryodhan. He was very jealous, and eventually, what happened was with the his uncle Shakuni. He guided him, and he told him that you cannot defeat the Pandavas like that. So let's call one of them. So for a game of dice. So on the consultation, on the advice of his uncle Duryodhan, what Duryodhan did was he invited Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir was one of the Pandavas. He invited Yudhishthir to his kingdom, and uh, deceitfully he defeated Yudhishthir in the game of dice. Okay, and in that process, when all of this was going on, Yudhishthir lost everything. So he put everything at stake, and he lost everything, including his wife, during that time. Okay, and eventually it was settled. Duryodhan eventually came. Uh, it was mutually decided between both parties that as you know compensation, as a punishment, whatever you can call it, what will happen is the Pandavas will go into exile. They're going to go and live in the forest, and they're going to live there for 13 years. And out of those 13 years, 12 years they had to live there like normally. Okay, but in that last 1 year he made it really challenging. He said that in that last year you should not be discovered by anyone, especially the Kauravas. Okay, so they had to go in like incognito basically in that last 1 year. Okay, so accepting this, he had lost, Yudhishthir had lost. So the Pandavas left the kingdom and went into exile. And during that time, it was decided that Duryodhan will rule the entire kingdom. Okay. So facing a lot of hardships, the Pandavas, Draupadi also went into exile with them. So the Pandavas and all of them like basically lived in the forest for 12 years, completed their exile period, and in that last 1 year they were not discovered by anyone. They fulfilled the entire condition of the punishment. And after completing those 13 years, in which like the Kauravas made sure that it wasn't easy for them. Okay, so they set up a lot of hindrances on their path to completing this entire sentence. So after all of these challenges, after 13 years, the Pandavas came back to the kingdom to ask for their rightful place, of ruling the kingdom. So half of the kingdom was theirs, right? So they came back to Duryodhan and they said that, now we have completed um, whatever you told us, we have completed the time in exile and now we want the kingdom back. And at that point of time, Duryodhan, his ego was very high, So he said no, and he said that I'm not even going to give you, like, you know, even little bit portion of the kingdom. So the, you know, equivalent of the area that the tip of the needle takes. He said that I'm not even going to give you that much area of the kingdom to rule. So the Pandavas said that this is not fair. We completed whatever you said, and uh, as per the rules, now we should get back our kingdom. So he completely refused, and you see how much he was like, how inflexible he was. He wasn't even ready to give that much portion to the Pandavas back. So eventually, it was decided that there was going to be a war between the Kauravas and the Pandavas to reclaim the kingdom. Okay, there was no other way in which they were able to settle this conflict. So what happened was, both Duryodhan and Arjun, representing the Kauravas and Pandavas respectively, they went to Krishnaji. Okay, so Krishnaji was ruling the state of Dwarka at that point of time. It's a place in India, and he was like the king of that place. So both of them went to him to get, you know, like we get a third person perspective. So they went to Krishnaji, and when they went to his kingdom, they saw that he was sitting on his, you know, throne, and his eyes were closed. He was meditating, and he was like absorbed in meditation. So when both of them went in, Duryodhan went and sat where, you know, his kingdom would sit. So um, he sat very close to Krishna. So those were like, the closer you were to the king, the more important you were, okay, in the kingdom. So he went and he chose his place over there. That, you know, this is my rightful place to sit. And Arjun ji was a very big devotee of Krishna ji. So he went and he found his place at the feet of Krishna ji. Yeah, he was a very big devotee. So as Krishna ji opened his eyes, he became aware that somebody had come in. When he opened his eyes, naturally, because Arjun was sitting at his feet, he saw Arjun first and then he saw Duryodhan. So what happened was they consulted him. They told him that this is what is going on, and eventually, you know, they said that there is going to be a war. And so they asked Krishna ji that, like, you know, for help. So Krishna ji said that I have two things to offer you. Either I can join you, and if I join you, I will be the person who will drive the chariot. Okay, and I will not pick up even one weapon throughout the entire battle. So this is one option, that you can have me, but I will be unarmed. And the other option that you have is that my army, it was his army was considered to be the strongest army. He said that either I can offer you myself without any weapons, or you can have my army on your side. Okay, so you can choose from either of the two. And because he saw Arjun first, he gave Arjun the first choice. He said that Arjun, you pick first, then Duryodhan, the remaining, like whatever option remains, that will become Duryodhan. So Arjun, what Arjun did was, because he was a very great devotee, he said that I want you by my side. I am not concerned that you're not going to pick up any weapon. And Duryodhan was by default very happy, because even if he would have been given the first choice, he would have chosen the army. So this was settled, that the war is going to take place and Krishna ji is going to be on the side of the Pandavas, and Duryodhan was going to have the strongest army that was known at that point of time. Okay. So before this entire war started, there was one more encounter where Krishna ji, on the request of Pandavas, you know, Krishna ji went to Duryodhan once again, in his, like, where he was placed in the state of Hastinapur. He went over there in the location of Hastinapur, and he went to Duryodhan to once more like try and make peace of the entire situation, because he knew that if the great battle would take place, if Mahabharat would take place, then a lot of people are going to die. Okay, there are going to be a lot of death. There's going to be a lot of destruction. So he knew this beforehand, and in a manner to pacify this, destruction, to avoid it, to pacify this conflict, he went to Duryodhan and Hastinapur. And when he went to his kingdom to request that, you can like just settle this, like give Pandavs, 5 villages, gaon, 5 gaon de do aap. Okay, he went with that. He started negotiating that, you know, give only 5 villages, Pandavs will live over there. What do you have to do in life? You just have to live there, eat. Sorry, yeah, maintain harmony in the kingdom. So uh, eventually Duryodhan said no. Then he said, just give us 5 houses. Then he again said no. So Krishnaji was basically trying to negotiate that, this is how you should go about this situation. So when he said no completely, that is when he tried to, when Krishnaji came to him, he tried to imprison Krishnaji. He said that I'm not going to let you go back. Inko bandh lo, imprison him. Okay. And when Duryodhan did this, that is when Krishnaji showed his uh, कहते हैं ना असली रूप, his real nature. He showed his real nature where he was God. And there's a very famous poem about this called Krishna Ki Chetavni. If you go on YouTube, it's in Hindi. So if you understand Hindi, it's a very beautiful poem. Uh, Krishna Ki Chetavni, if you write this on YouTube, you will find a poem. And this entire incident is narrated in this poem where, Krishnaji says that you are going to tie me. Like, that is when he came in his Brahm Roop, the divine um, consciousness. He came in that and he showed that, I am God. I'm the embodiment of God. So he said that you're going to tie me. You cannot tie me. I'm, time. I'm that endless time which goes on. I'm the past, present, and future. I am, mm, the person who, from the energy from which everybody generates and in which everybody comes back. So I'm that energy. So when this entire incident happens, and eventually Krishnaji leaves Hastinapur, comes back, and now everything is final. War is going to take place. So when the day comes and the everybody is, you know aligned over there. So in Indian like wars, there were a lot of rules and regulations. Okay, so everything was very scientifically decided. This should happen, this should not happen. So there was a, I could say, like you see in the badminton court, you know, line. Line was drawn one side, Pandavas were there one side, the Kauravas were there. And as a part of the Indian war rules, what happened was each party got some time to, strategize. They went, looked at the other army, and they had time to strategize before the war began. So when this was happening, when the war was about to begin, and Arjun ji told Krishna ji that, take me to the front where I can see what the army is and how they are placed. Okay, to strategize. When he asked Krishna ji to take him ahead, that is when he came to that point where he could see the army. That is when he saw that his, entire family was standing on the other side, people he grew up with, and not only that, his guru, uh, Dronacharya, he was standing on the other side, and the guru and teacher relationship, guru and student sadhak relationship is very deep. Okay, and when he saw his guru standing over there, he said that no, like he saw his family, that was also motivation enough, but then he saw his guru also. So he couldn't, you know, um, pick up weapons against the person who taught him how to use the weapons. So that is when he came in deep conflict. He was just like, I cannot fight. I am okay with not having a kingdom. But if I kill my own family, then what good is the kingdom? I cannot share my happiness with anyone. I cannot, share that the peace, happiness, the why does a person have his why does a person want to earn wealth also? Because he wants to share it with his family, with his loved ones. And if I kill my loved ones, I will not be satisfied. The kingdom would do me no good. Okay, having the kingdom. So that is when Krishna ji starts uh, to explain to him that why his action at that point of time is necessary. So when this portion starts, where the conflict arises, and Krishna ji starts to explain to Arjun why the action is necessary, that is when Bhagavad Gita starts. Okay, this is the starting point of Bhagavad Gita, and there are 18 chapters. So in 18 different ways, Krishna ji tried to explain to him, why he has to perform this action, why it is his duty. And at the end of the 18th chapter, he surrenders to Lord Krishna, and he steps into the battlefield to fight his own family. And it was a very deep conflict, because when uh, suppose for you only, you imagine your loved ones and they're standing on the other side, and you know that you have to be in a position where there is no guarantee if the person is going to come out alive. It puts a person in deep conflict and in a lot of guilt also. Why is it necessary? But that is when Krishna ji explained to him why that action was necessary, and in 18 different ways he explained that. So each chapter forms one like gives rise to one type of yoga. Okay, so the different schools of yoga are also present in Bhagavad Gita. The Karma Yoga, he explains Karma Yoga, he explains Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all of these things he has explained. So 18 chapters, all of them have names which has yoga in them. Okay. So for homework for you is go and Google all the 18 chapters. You should know the names, yeah, and you should know like which yoga is being talked of in which chapter. So you can go ahead, Google the name of the chapters. It will give you a deeper understanding of the text. And this is how the entire text begins. Okay, so this text is considered to be the essence of all the Upanishads. That is why it is called Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. Because if somebody, there are so many Upanishads out there, so somebody isn't specifically, in the study of the Vedas and the Upanishads, they can derive all the benefits out of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, because it captures the essence of whatever the Upanishads are trying to teach. Okay, so if you just read this one text, it will be of great use to you in managing everything in your life. Yeah, and this text is considered to be a very great text, actually. So I would recommend, like today, since you have heard this story, you understand why, everything happened and how he reached that point. So you should all make it a point to at least read this once in your life. Okay. Because this will give you a very deep understanding of what is happening around you. It will help you to make sense of a lot of situations and it will give you the right tools to navigate through certain things in your life. In fact, people who do not, so let me tell you this, people who do not understand Bhagavad Gita, but they recite it every day. There are a lot of people in India who haven't read the text, but they know the recitation because in India we have, from generation to generation, these things are passed on. So maybe in somebody's house it was chanted. So they continued that chanting. So a person who chants this text every day, just by chanting the text, it has, like, a lot of people have experienced betterment in their life because of just chanting. Because even in your meditation class you would have um, covered pranav and mantra meditation also you will cover. So you will see how, more than the meaning, the sound, how you are creating that sound matters, and the vibration that you are producing. So people who chant this regularly, they're creating a particular vibration around them. So that vibration helps them, to navigate through life. So you can go for both the things. If you are an avid reader of Hindi literature and Sanskrit literature, that is when you can go ahead and recite it properly if you're choosing to do so. And you will yourself see how the quality of your life improves with the mere chanting of the shlokas. Okay, any doubts so far? Anything in the story that, you know, is, you're not able to place it or understand it? Okay, okay. So let me give you the little bit more information about the text. So the text has 4 characters overall. So Krishna and Arjuna I mentioned already. And then we have Dhritarashtra, and Sanjay. Okay, so 2 characters are Krishna Arjun. There is a conversation going on between Krishna and Arjun, and Dhritarashtra and Sanjay. They are also having a conversation. So there is a conversation within a conversation. Okay. So actually, what happened was when the entire Mahabharat, the battle was about to start. That is when uh, Ved Vyas, he is considered to be the author of Mahabharat. Vedvyasa. So he came and he told Dhritarashtra that, Dhritarashtra was blind, okay, by birth. So he told Dhritarashtra that, okay, let me give you, because he was he was a yogi. He had the power to um, bestow vision on Dhritarashtra. So he said that if you want to see the battle, I will give you this divine vision so that you are able to become aware of whatever is going on in the battle. Okay, you're able to see that. So that is when he said, no, I cannot see my own sons die. And I know it was my carelessness which led them to such a point where they were not even able to, give back the kingdom to Pandavas. So there was so much ego in them, and it was only because I spoiled them. So I do not have I do not have it within me to see my own children die. So that is when he said that, but you can give this vision to my, um, one of his ministers. He was Sanjay, Sanjay. Okay, Sanjay. So one of the ministers, one of the trusted ministers in his kingdom, Sanjay, he said that give this vision to Sanjay so that he can see whatever is going on in the war. So Dhritarashtra and Sanjay have a conversation, and when the Bhagavad Gita starts, and then in between also there are certain shlokas that come in, and in this conversation between both of them, he narrates the conversation between Krishna and Arjun. Okay, so the number of shlokas also, let me give you this. So Krishna ji has 574 verses out of the 700. Okay, then Arjun has 84 verses. Sanjay has 41 verses, and Dhritarashtra has 700 has only one verse. Total of 700 verses. Okay, so these are the four characters that you would see. Dhritarashtra is spelled as D-R-I T. Sorry, this is wrong. Autocorrect. Sorry. D-H-R-I-T. Sorry. R-A-S-H-T-R-A. Okay, so you can like Dhritarashtra and Sanjay, and write the verses along with their names, and then you can make a downward arrow because that is the conversation within, and Krishna and Arjun, that is the conversation, and you can write the verses along with their names. This text is also called by other names, so it's not important, but I'm just mentioning it's called Gita Upanishad or Gita Upanishad. That is also one name. It's also called Yoga Upanishad, one of the Yoga Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita. Then Shri Krishna Arjun Samvad. Samvad is conversation. S-A-M-V-A-D. Shri Krishna Arjun Samvad. It's also a text which gives you the knowledge of the highest, Brahma Gyan. It's called Brahma Gyan. Let me write this down. BRAHMJNANA. Brahma Gyan. So this is the entire class. This is all you need to know about Bhagavad Gita for your course. However, I would highly encourage you guys to go ahead and read this text. And let me give you at least one book that you can refer to. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Just give me Yeah, so I was writing down the name. So there's this translation by Geeta Press Gorakhpur. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that is the name of the book, and you will find this translation in English and Hindi both. It's a very thin book, direct translations. So you can read this book. It's yellow cover. The cover of the book is either you will find it in yellow or pink. And rest of the discussion we will have after you read the text. That is when you can contact me. We can have an in-depth discussion about what is going on. But until then, like, just put this in your bucket list that you have to read it. So this is one of the easiest books. Like, you can just get the direct translations. Apart from this, there are a lot of other books that you will find, which will actually have, you know, long commentaries. So right now, do not go for that. Right now, just go for the direct translations, because that will take a lot of time for you to digest also. Even this will take a lot of time for you to digest. So right now, just focus on, going through the entire text, and then you can, whatever you like the most in the text, in that thing you can go deeper. Any doubts? Any question? Okay. So let's end today's session then. Back and neck straight, just close the eyes. And we'll end the class with 1 Om and 3 Shanti. Inhale deeply for Om. Om. Shanti. 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 Join both the palms together and rub both the palms together. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palms, open up your eyes. And namaste to everyone. I will see you all for your pranayam class at 3 o'clock. Yeah? So bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank